Welcome. Time blanks. Time blanks. Once again, it's K-9. There's never that much of a cast. This is episode 549 of an Unearthly Podcast, streaming live on the 4th of October, 2025, and featuring Taphony and the Time Loop, written by Anthony Morris and Graham Farmer, and starring Robert Maloney as Professor Griffin, Keegan Joyce as Starkey, Philippa Coulthard as Georgie Turner, Daniel Weber as Darius Pike, and John Leeson as the voice of K-9. I'm Bill Sylvia, the one in black, and I'm happy I'm not going to have to use that long cast list again for a while. With me are Alex Fyrehart
Hello.
and Aaron RomeoMoon Burke.
Hello.
So, Aaron, it's been a while since you were able to join in person. How has your time been?
Very busy. Working 10-hour days on the weekdays and then 6 hours Saturday and Sunday. So, yeah, it's been pretty steady for me. So, I have been earning at least a decent amount of money, so that's good. Pay off some debts and stuff, so and get some savings going. Yeah, it's good to be back at least. Good to be back doing something creative and not just grinding away at a day job. So.
Yeah, that's always good.
How's everybody else doing?
Well, my legs have been still playing up on me to where I've tried doing full days, but because of some of the things I'd have to end up doing, either my legs have played up, or this Thursday it was like, I think it was my neck for some reason. I can't entirely place why. And kind of my hip, and I was just like, well, this is great. um, and of course, I did a 4-hour shift today, and thankfully that was fine enough. And then I'm doing like a 7.5-hour shift tomorrow. But that's thankfully a later start than some of the shifts of that kind of a length that I have been doing. And I'm mainly doing it because tomorrow, at least in my home state, because it's weird and it varies, but tomorrow, so Monday, my time is going to be the King's birthday holiday, so it's a public holiday, which means it's double pay. So,
Do you have a king?
Part
I'm
of
King
the
of England.
UK, yeah.
So, yeah, part of the Commonwealth of Nations.
So you're not
and all that.
independent. Yeah. You are
No,
still a
yeah,
colony.
like yeah, Australia is still part of the British Commonwealth as a like the king is technically our sovereign still, because I guess there are countries in the British
so you're
Commonwealth
not a
that
country.
aren't.
I need to keep that in mind that you are not a country.
Well, we are. We're just not a sovereign nation.
Just like Wales and Scotland are not countries because they still worship the King of England as well. Go ahead, leave your comments. I dare you.
Bill getting spicy tonight already.
I mean, the funny thing is like I feel like the only reason we still are is just because we can't be bothered. Like all the fucking shit that you'd have to go through just to not be. Although, let's face it, no one likes King Charles, so watch it during what remains of his life. Watch that dissolve with time.
Yeah.
People, for whatever reason, people liked Elizabeth II, but not so much her kid. So
not Harry. William is saying that he's going to change the monarchy, according to a BBC News
we'll
article
see.
I saw. Yeah.
I mean, anything less than full abolishment is living in the 17th century. So. Abolition, I should say. What the fuck is abolishment,
Yeah.
Bill?
I abolish thee.
I guess that brings on to me. I would say I'm at the point where I'm seriously considering if I need to scale back my commitments for this semester. I think for the first time, both of my like grading positions are ones that are going to use up my full amount of time. Plus, I'm really at the point in my grad school career where I can't just be like, I'm too busy to do research. Like, if I'm not showing research progress in multiple projects every week, I basically look like an asshole because like I'm collaborating with people and I have like things that are due. Meanwhile, I should be done with classes, but I took a writing class to be better, just to be better at writing for a general audience because it's a skill that I haven't practiced in years as a grad student. And I took a stats class because it should really be, it should really level up. It's combining AI and structural equation modeling, so it should really level up my ability to code. So I felt these are really important classes, but as of now, I'm really struggling to keep up, and I can't tell how much of that is all caused by that 1 week I hurt my back, because it's been a couple weeks since then. I should be over it, but I'm still feel like I'm swamped and am past due on things every day. So I'm like, if I still feel like this in a week, I just need to find some way to cut back on something. Um, and I can't cut back on my extra job on campus because I don't get paid over the summer and I need the income. But something needs to give, or else I'm just going to end up disappointing everybody. And that's not in a like self-deprecating way, but in a realistic, like I need to figure out what my boundaries are going to be way. Which, I mean, granted, in a couple of weeks, this podcast will go on season break, but cutting back on any and all social interaction outside of school is not my goal either. I was saying to Aaron before we started, part of me was really thinking, oh, maybe the responsible thing to do is say that I can't come tonight, write up some notes and send them to you. But I'm like, you know what? This is my only social interaction outside of school because I don't count Reddit and Twitter as social interaction. So it's like just cutting that out, like, yeah, it'll save me a couple hours tonight, but it'll bite me in the ass with my mental health. And as I just said, I'm going to lose that. Well, we could always jump on a call for other reasons if we want to, other than the podcast. Anyway, let's move on from mental health. On tonight's show, we've got our birthdays and news. I do have a rant I'm going to get to if we have the time. We have a couple of items of Geek Talk, and then we have our episode summary, and then our review, final thoughts, and ratings. So I will set our timer, and then on to Alex with the birthdays.
So, God damn. First up, on the 21st of September, we have Sue Virtue or something, who was the producer for Curse of Fatal Death, turned 65. On the 22nd of September, we have Billy Piper, who played Rose Tyler from 05 to 09, and The Moment in Day of the Doctor, plus work for Big Finish, turned 43. Also on the 22nd of September, we have Fraser Hines, who played Jamie McCrimmon from 66 to 69, again in 83 and again in 85, plus work for Big Finish. I think he's also voiced the Doctor in the second Doctor in some Big Finish stuff as well. Turned 81. On the 27th of September, we have Dominic Glenn, who was the title composer for Trial of a Time Lord and incidental music for 3 of the seventh Doctor stories. Turned 65. Also on the 27th, we have Milton Subotsky, who is the writer for the Arrow Doctor Who movies. Would have been 104, but died in 91 at the age of 69. On the 28th of September, we have Terence Dudley, who was the writer of K-9 and Company, the K-9 and Company pilot, and 3 Fifth Doctor stories, and director of the 4th Doctor story, Meglos. Would have been 106, but died in 1988 at the age of 69. On the 29th of September, we have Nicholas Briggs, who is the voice of the Daleks and other monsters from 2005 to present. Every production, as well as every production role you can imagine for Big Finish, turned 64. In October, on the 1st, we have Philip Hinchcliffe, who is the Doctor Who producer from 75 to 77, plus work for Big Finish, turned 81. On the 4th of October, we have Daniel Anthony, who played Clyde Langer in the Sarah Jane Adventures and the Stolen Earth Journey's End, plus work for Big Finish, turned 38. And finally, also on the 4th of October, we have Dudley Simpson, who did incidental music for 63 of the 101 stories from Planet of the Giants through to Sharda. Would have been 103, but died in 2017 at the age of 95.
I'm realizing way too late that image is probably not actually Milton Subotsky, and I was in a trusting mood, I guess, when I was doing my Google searches, but the article that image linked to has no images on it. So yeah, actually this actually might actually be a better image if I can go to the right tab.
It seems like birthdays and news is shifted over too. It looks a little off center, I should say, from the graphic we have. Oh, there we go. There's Milton. Remove the imposter.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, the background got dragged at some point. Yeah, if I can fix that while we're streaming, that'd be great. Okay.
But yeah, so happy birthday to Sue, Billy, Fraser, Dominic, Milton, Terrence, Nicholas, Philip, Daniel, and Dudley.
All right, that brings us on to our news, which is mostly in the cast and crew news area. First off, we have Alex Kingston news, and Alex Kingston has been revealed, and I don't know when Strictly Come Dancing airs. For all I know, this has aired already. But she'll be partnering with Johannes Redebe. I'm not entirely sure if I pronounced either of those names correctly. That's one of those ones where it depends on what country they're from as to what accent you pronounce it with. Yeah, so Johannes or Johan, again, depending on the specific origin, has, I guess, I don't know what has been a partner on Strictly Come Dancing for years, but is known now to Doctor Who fans for having performed in The Devil's Chord. And then there's, some history on Strictly Come Dancing. I'm not super... okay. And so there's that. If you're interested in Strictly Come Dancing and you're if you're here, you're most likely have some interest in Alex Kingston. So that's some news for that segment of the fan base. Our next bit of news, this was an interview with Philip Hinchcliffe at a British Film Institute South Bank event, which was marking the release of the Season 13 Blu-ray set. Let's see. So I guess somebody asked him what he would do differently if he was asked to return to Doctor Who as a creative consultant, which he denied that would ever happen. Oh, I forgot. I colored this in orange because of what the topic was, and I still haven't spoiled that. Would you like to do the thing talk about the thing that you talk about every week? Go ahead.
But yeah,
Or do you
according
not?
to the
Assuming you have
article,
the article
yeah,
open, because I just
yeah,
went through half of it.
yeah. Hinchcliffe has suggested that the series should return to its classic format of each story spanning 100 minutes or 4 25-minute episodes. It's a very good time for a movie or a television story to be told in 100 minutes, he said. That gives you room to introduce characters, to unravel an inciting event of the story, the mystery and what's going wrong. And you've got the time to get to know the characters, to invest emotionally with the characters, not just the heroes. And there can be plot reversals and suspense. It doesn't have to be action all the time. Yeah. He continued to try and tell an interesting story in 50 minutes is very difficult. I would want it to be of that length, 100 minutes, because if you're watching something, you want to invest in the supporting characters, not just the doctor. It gives you room to tell the story. So that'd be my main point that I think would benefit it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like preaching to the converted here. Like I have been of this mindset for forever. And the funny thing is a point that he doesn't make that I feel like I've made before when bringing this up is in the streaming era of all eras. It makes the most sense to go back to serialized storytelling. Like in going back to just doing serials, because then you can just drop a serial in one day and then you
Mhm.
know
I
go
was
away,
gonna
come
say
back,
I
or
was gonna have a counter to that, and I mean, yes, you're right in that like the serialized era makes such a difference, and that's why kids shows these days are serialized when they had to be episodic. When I was a
mm,
kid, and probably when you were a kid,
Mhm.
I mean that wasn't that many years apart. So
Yeah.
yeah, you get my point. Kids shows, and most shows pretty much like it was really hard to serialize because you couldn't guarantee people sitting at down at the same time every day or even every
mm,
week in the case of something like Doctor Who. But my
yeah.
counterpoint for specifically the format that Hinchcliffe says is, can you imagine the riots we would have if it took 4 weeks to finish a story?
mm.
Like, people don't have patience for that anymore. Like, what do you
Uh,
mean it's going to take a month to tell a story?
I mean, you say that, but there's still usually a lot of engagement for stuff like
Stranger
The
Things.
Mandalorian and that when it came out. Yeah,
The
Stranger
Mandalorian had
Things.
hour-long episodes.
It
Stranger
kind of
Things.
varied. Kind of varied. Some could be an hour, some could be
Mhm.
like a length of like a prior to Chibnall era episode of Doctor Who, so like around 42 minutes.
Yeah,
It basically like the
but
length
not the
varied
20.
depending on what they needed.
So
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
basically mean is like if we're talking specifically the way Hinchcliffe says it, if 25
Mm,
minutes passed and you didn't make like, because sometimes like episode 2 or 3 would be pretty much not much happening in the plot, even in a 4-parter. Like,
mm,
I agree that the 100-minute episodes are often the best episodes of Doctor Who, regardless, classic era, modern era.
mm,
But you would have a week go by and no major plot developments, no reveals. It's all just kind of, people moving from here to there, talking to each other. Oh, how are we going to stop them from waking up the Daleks? Yeah, we better stop them from waking up the Daleks. Uh, that sort of stuff. And I just don't think people would tolerate that being all we got for in a week right now. I think 2 50-minute episodes, I think would it would have that improved storytelling, and I think it would make sure something happens every week that you know to actually fit the streaming era televisions or attention span.
I mean, again, if nothing else, I mean, for one thing, to be technical, he didn't say 4 episodes over 4 weeks. He just said
Hmm.
4 episodes. So you could
What,
technically have that 4 days
what
in a
even
row.
is an
You could have
episode
that
anymore?
all, yeah, like you could technically drop them all in a day, like streaming tends to with some shows,
The
like how
binge
like the
version.
Marvel
Oh
net, yeah,
God. Be
yeah,
so for us in the international audience, I agree. I think the BBC One audience would find.
hmm,
I mean, okay, they're gonna find something to complain about regardless. So maybe it doesn't matter if they have something to complain about. They always hate any decision that's made about Doctor Who, so maybe I
Mm.
shouldn't entertain them. But I feel like anything that would make the storytelling faster in that way, other than like long episodes, they're gonna be pissed off about.
Yeah. I
my
mean, like
issue-
part of the argument I've made is also just that the pacing is better when done in that format. Like, whereas there are some like early era New Who episodes where I've gone, it'll get to like 20 something minutes in, and I'm like, this feels like this needs to have like a cliffhanger and a break,
Mm.
but it just keeps going, and I'm like, mm, I don't
So
know.
for the serialized version, would you say to drop an episode every week, or would you say just drop them all at once? Because then if you
I mean,
drop
something.
them, yeah, if you drop them all at once, part of the whole serialization thing is that there's a little bit of suspension that you have to wait
Yeah.
for the rest of it to come out. But if you drop it all at once, that
Mm.
suspension is kind of not
To be
really as
fair,
much.
one benefit of doing that is that you could avoid some of the cliffhangers for Doctor Who that we've complained about for, where they're like very, oh no, how are they going to get out of this? And it's immediately resolved at the start of the next episode. Like you can avoid those kind of cliffhangers because we don't really need that kind of a cliffhanger. Because it's not waiting until next week. But
British
yeah,
television has never quite nailed the cliffhanger because they don't need to have a commercial break halfway through the episode.
but like,
Or okay, I
if
can't say because I have no idea about ITV or any like independent. BBC specifically is the one that I know does not have the commercial break halfway through the episode.
yeah, like the only other thing, and I've kind of pitched it before, is like if you effectively did what Sarah Jane Adventures did, where like everything's a two-parter, and you could that way you could just drop
Mm-hmm.
stories every week instead of, like one episode a week. You could drop both parts
Mm.
at the same time, and they both add up to an hour. Because that's another thing I've brought up, is that some of these where it's like, if it was still technically roughly an hour, like, or close enough to, but split in half, usually the pacing is different and better. Because like there are some modern Who stories where we've gone, this probably could have used a two-parter, but we're like, modern two-parters can be upwards of like almost 2 hours, and that would feel like too much. Whereas a two-parter that's like 25 to 30 minutes per episode would probably have worked a bit better.
So I just looked at our time and realized that we need to move on. So Scottish BAFTA Awards. So the nominations for the Scottish BAFTA Awards came out, and on the list for let me see. It says the same award, and I'm trying to see. Okay, actor in film or television. We have David Tennant, Ncuti Gatwa, and Peter Capaldi. So all of the Scots who have played the Doctor as the main character in the 21st century. As much as some Brits will like to claim that Ncuti Gatwa is not British, he is very much Scottish. So yeah, so congratulations to the Doctors for being nominated. Only one of them can win. Let me see. So David Tennant was nominated for his role in Rivals, Ncuti Gatwa for Doctor Who, and Peter Capaldi for Black Mirror. Let me see if there's anything else we need to know here. There's a lot of fluff as usual with most articles, but I know there's at least We also have another, not a Doctor actor, but a Doctor Who actor. Karen Gillan is nominated for the actress in film/television for Douglas is Cancelled, which I'm not sure I know what that is. Apparently it is a series by Stephen Moffat. So all of the Doctor Who showrunners calling up their friends that they're used to working with, I guess. So yeah, so it's a big year at the BAFTAs for the Scottish BAFTAs for Doctor Who, and on the 16th of November we'll know who won, and by then we'll be on season break. So hopefully we pick it up in our news when we start season 22. Moving from there, we have our Big Finish news, and as is typical, we'll cover that fairly quickly. On the September of 23rd, yeah, that's exactly how you say that. On the 23rd of September, the New Adventures of Bernice Summerfield, Volume 9, The Dalek Eternity 1, dropped. So we've got Benny and some Daleks. If there's any doubt as to how closely Benny is related to Doctor Who at this point. Written by James Goss and Felicia Barker, starring Lisa Bowerman as Bernice Summerfield and Nicholas Briggs as the Daleks. On the 25th of September, Call Me Master Monsters, written by Alison Winter, Jodie Hauser, and Lisa McMullen, starring Sacha Dhawan as the Master. And on October 2nd, Ninth Doctor Adventures, The Last Days of the Powell Estate, written by Timothy X. Attic, starring Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor and Billie Piper as Rose. And I want to say I saw Camille Kodori's photo. Yeah, she's in the cover art. I should have checked the cast to see if she was on the list. I just kind of copied and pasted the cast list. But yeah, I think she's there too. That is our Big Finish news, which gives me a minute and a half to bitch about this YouTube thing. And I'm a little less vitriolic than I was initially hearing this, after realizing that they're just kind of following suit to what both Twitter and Meta did, even though Twitter is kind of its own special idiocy. So, of course, after Donald Trump tried to end democracy in 2021, he was kicked off of a bunch of social media platforms, and then he decided to sue them all because terms of service don't apply when you're rich. And so recently, Google ended up acquiescing to this. And to settle the lawsuit, they've agreed to pay $24.5 million to Donald Trump and his pet projects. And yeah, like I said, I was really livid about this before I realized that it was just kind of Google following suit in what Meta had already done, and Twitter was already its thing because like Elon Musk and Donald Trump were dating for a while. But the idea that being banned for violating terms of service is something you can sue over is just complete bullshit. And then just the idea, if every single at this point, I'm just straight up going to say every single company that just gives in and says they start with the same two letters, so I keep doing this. Every time someone says, "Oh, Donald Trump is going to get his way for his illegal shit," like this lawsuit, before even like actually following through and doing the illegal shit, like settling instead of waiting for it to go to court and deal with whether or not the judges are biased, empowers him to do more illegal shit. What sort of illegal shit? Illegal shit like trying to deploy the military to every city that votes Democratic, as he's been doing. Sending the military to Portland for no reason other than to intimidate people who voted against him. Trying to send the military, and at the very least, sending thugs to Chicago, basically to bully people for being black or brown in public, or sleeping while black or brown. So yeah, do not continue to give him fucking power. This is also why I think during the spans between two of our podcasts, the Disney boycott started and ended because but there was at least something behind that, because the federal government has the power to illegally, but could do it and it would be tied up in court for a very long time. Stop business, to basically take away licenses from companies for daring to criticize him in public. They would eventually get stricken down by the courts, but I can see a company being afraid to do that. But that was still a big enough issue that Disney got fucking boycotted into submission. And if Disney is getting boycotted into submission, that will tell you something about where the people are standing. Unfortunately, at this point, YouTube or Google and Meta are kind of too big to boycott. Like, how the fuck do you boycott the entire internet? But yeah, I mean, Amazon is already on the list, like, that a lot of people are not willing to give any money to anymore. Unfortunately, Google is the only big streamer other than Amazon at the moment. Like, what's left? Kick? I guess TikTok is considered a streamer now. I don't know how much streaming you can actually do on TikTok. Same with
Do a
Instagram.
bit. I think you have to have a certain amount of people watching you in
I
order
was gonna
to
say,
stream.
could a small account do an hour-long podcast there? Probably not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of in the it's pretty much in the monopoly position, so it's really hard to do anything about it. But for fuck's sake, like, and granted, Google has been on my shit list ever since the Gulf of America thing. And in general, like, Google is really either backing him to protect themselves or backing him because they know that they can extort the country for millions of dollars. So in short, like, fuck you to all of these big tech companies. This is the censored version of what I had to say. And I'm going to move on because I'm pretty sure we're well past the 30-minute mark of our stream.
Also, just want to point out that Ellison is part of the TikTok deal. I believe he's buying TikTok.
Who?
Like, Ellison, I believe he's the owner of Oracle. He's buying up TikTok, and I believe his son is interested in buying up HBO Max and all that other stuff.
Okay. Oh, got
Discovery,
you.
yeah.
I heard something about fucking, what's his name? The Australian asshole. The one that owns Fox and the New York Post and all that.
Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah, apparently he's supposed to be part of the committee, like, in charge of, like, making sure the new TikTok, the American TikTok does it does what it's, so basically making it into American propaganda instead of Chinese propaganda.
So it'll be a Fox app then.
Larry Ellison is a key
much.
investor in a larger group that will acquire a stake in TikTok's U.S. operations, not a solitary purchase.
All right. So to wash our mouth out from that, let's go to Stephen King, who recently said that everybody waiting for the Epstein list is an idiot. Let's listen to a review of the audiobook in which he wrote about a child orgy. Yeah, I'm feeling salty about Stephen King this month. Everybody can get it. You can't see my middle finger, but fuck all of y'all right now. It's that kind of month.
But yeah, kind of purely on a whim, like last week, I think, I started listening to an audiobook version of it that I came across. And it shows how far back this goes, because this is a version of an audiobook that was recorded when the book was probably new. So in the 80s, for cassette, that someone basically just uploaded in its entirety on YouTube.
Turn cassette
in
over.
In parts. Yeah. I mean, I think those bits were edited out, but yeah, the audio, it shows you how long this book is, by the way. And I mean, this is a book that you can absolutely tell even just by listening to it in audiobook form, that this was the height of Stephen King's cocaine addiction.
The
Because this
reason
is
why I
a
bought that book at when I bought that book when I was 17, and it was basically because I was like, the longer the book is, I mean, one, every book was the same price. Actually, I think older books were even cheaper, but I was like, the more pages in the book, automatically the better book it is. So I bought it instead.
because yeah, this is, I could be off, but I'm pretty sure this book, going just looking at like a page listing, is about as long, if not technically somewhat longer, than the omnibus version of Lord of the Rings, if you only include like the actual main story. So yeah, this is a as you can kind of tell, like in certain bits, including that one bit, and also a bit that I've never heard talked about before, I don't think. And then when I got to it, was like, God damn it, Steven, why did you have to include that?
Which bit was that?
Uh let's just say that the 12-year-olds having sex in the sewer isn't the only underage activity of that kind that happens.
Mm,
There is a bit that happens with Henry Bowers and Patrick
yeah.
Hochstetter, like in the junkyard, which is like, I didn't need that.
Yeah, I don't
Steven, like,
remember
what are we
that.
doing?
I might look up a
Yeah.
description, but yeah.
But there's like, it's honestly, if you get rid of like those two things, because they're so, like, I mean, it's one of those funny things where I'm pretty sure like Stephen King kind of is weird about it, because like I definitely have seen him, like, or at least seen people claim that he's said publicly that he kind of regrets writing that in there. Um, and I think it's less like, I think it's less of a justification so much as an explanation for why he did that. Is usually like at that point in the story they need to become adults, and that's the best he could come up with. Which again, guy who was still an alcoholic and a cocaine addict at the time, not entirely surprised that he was not in his right mind. I probably wasn't thinking all that clearly.
Oh yeah, it was described in the book as celebrating the bonds of friendship.
Yeah, it was like, like it's right near the end of the book, but it was also just like I could tell when it was coming, and I was like, oh God, please let this be quick. I basically just zoned out during that bit.
Did they
Yeah,
edit that
otherwise,
part out? I thought, or
I
is
don't think you can. It's kind of impossible because it's like, it's kind of, it's like kind of a plot point. So like you can't really like, they it's that they've defeated Pennywise when they're kids, and then they all get lost in this, they're lost in the sewers, and that's what Bev comes up with as a way for them to like calm down and like,
mm,
basically transition from kids to adults. Um and yeah, it's weird, but yeah. Like the other interesting thing, as that aside, is just realizing, wow, there are a lot of slurs in this book. Like, it really shows how much the racism that Mike has to deal with is toned way down in both adaptations that have happened, both the 1991 and the 2017/2019 movies. Um, like, it's basically a non-factor in those more recent movies, which is bizarre. But like, holy shit, like Mike deals with racism out the wazoo. Like, literally when he's getting attacked by Henry when they're adults, like every second word that Henry is spouting is the N word. Like he basically
Quentin
uses,
Tarantino is the only one who
yeah,
could have
like
directed an accurate.
yeah,
Or
like
Ralph Bakshi.
like literally he basically uses the N word as like a full stop, like a like a um uh you know
As
God,
punctuation.
I've already forgot. Yeah, it was punctuation. Yeah, like as like that's what ends his sentence. Like is like every sentence ends with him screaming that. Um, and you learn why he's that racist. Basically, his dad was a piece of shit, and you know, kind of molded him into being that racist. And all this, and just like for as for as much as there are bits that you can't adapt without like really going into it, I feel like next time this is adapted, it just needs to be a very long TV show.
I did look it
But
up.
it is it's a fascinating, I guess, listen in my case. But there are obviously those elephants in the room where it's like,
Yeah.
avoid those bits, and it's honestly a pretty solid read. Extremely fucking long. Like the audio book was 43 hours, 45 minutes.
All right, Demon Slayer.
Alrighty, let me bring my cursor over here because otherwise Canva won't recognize it. Alright, I was on the fence about, well, I wasn't on the fence about seeing this movie. I really wanted to see it, but I didn't think I would be able to with working all the overtime that I was doing. I was actually able to squeeze it in, so I was so happy that I did because this movie looks amazing. It's basically the first of 3 movies that are going to basically be the finale for the for the series. The actual series finale, it's all finished in that, so they're ending it with the final sagas here. Um, lot of a lot of like I knew kind of a little bit of what was going to happen, but like I didn't realize some of the deaths that were going to occur. So I was kind of surprised by that, especially like one of my favorite characters. So that was unfortunate. I do love how UFOtable animated the Infinity Castle. Our heroes are plummeting through the villain's fortress of doom, I should say, which is capable of changing shape and morphing itself to his needs. With the ability of the special guitar, the lady playing the Japanese guitar there, I can't remember what the actual name of it is. But they can morph it and everything, and the 3D animation used to change the castle up is just really great. There's a lot of tension as they're running through it, trying to fight the henchmen. And the henchmen themselves. One of them in particular is very creepy. He's basically, yeah, a kind of a sexual predator of young women who ran a cult and when he was human, and now he's a demon. And demons in this series are kind of more like vampires and stuff. They consume blood. They transfer their powers and take people over via their blood, assuming the person is strong enough to withstand conversion. Um, and the main bad guy has a series of henchmen that are like the upper 5 or the upper 6 and the lower 6 and whatnot, so you can tell the power structure from that. The animation is gorgeous, the story writing, it's a long movie, 3 hours long, so yeah, highly recommend it if you get a chance to see it. I can't wait for the next 2 movies to proceed the story forward. Oh, the cat's sitting on the keyboard. Get your butt out of here. All right.
All right, so when you're ready, you're up for the summary.
Oh God. All right. I mean, I'm calm and collected. Let's see
No,
here.
no cats on the keyboard.
No, no cats on the keyboard. Get your butt off the keyboard, cat. Tease 'em. Let's see here. I really wish that I could just zoom the camera in on this, but I don't think I can. I'm just trying to get the stopwatch figured out here.
Okay.
Actually, I can probably do that, and it doesn't look too terrible. It's
You
very
need a
plain
good
Jane looking.
OBS compatible stopwatch.
Oh yeah, I wonder if we can find something like that. I have it right now as kind of another scene, another overlay. So let's see here. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and start the stopwatch then.
All right. So 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Scroll down here. Griffin sets up the escape of a girl, a time known as a time blank from a department prison. As she makes her getaway, she turns a couple of CCP officers to dust by touching them. Griffin and K-9 manage to teleport the girl into the mansion via the space-time manipulator, but K-9 warns the professor that she is an unstable entity. Thorn throws the department prison into lockdown despite June's protests that there is no further threat from without the prison. The girl Taphony disintegrates a cake offered to her by Darius, who goes on to introduce her to Starkey and Georgie as Griffin and K-9 come downstairs to meet her. K-9 warns Griffin about Taphony's need to absorb life energy in order to sustain herself. Griffin tells K-9 that he is responsible for creating her during his stint on the department's Taphony project, and as such, he feels responsible for freeing her. Darius shows Taphony around the manor along with the others. K-9 and Griffin watch the teens follow Darius through the manor, K-9 noting that Georgie looks more pale while Taphony looks more healthy. Griffin acknowledges that Taphony is not supposed to stay here, but be free to live her life. Taphony refuses to leave the manor and grabs the professor, forcing him to age in seconds. Taphony runs to another room, angry at Griffin and his past experiments on her. Georgie tries to talk to her and assures her that she is a friend and that Griffin is also her friend. K-9 warns Griffin, who now simply wants Taphony gone, that Griffin will stay in this state if he doesn't find a cure by the time of his birthday comes around. Georgie tries to get everyone to be friends by playing frisbee with Taphony and the boys, Taphony time manipulating the frisbee to everyone's delight. However, K-9 comes in the room and insists that they must treat Taphony as a threat as Georgie is becoming weaker. Georgie collapses. June arrives at the manor and is confronted by Taphony before June finds Georgie nearly dead. Taphony insists that she can have everything that Georgie has, while Darius, K-9, and others disagree. Everyone offers to exchange their lives for Georgie, which shocks Taphony. K-9 tells Taphony that friends don't hurt each other, finally convincing her that to enter the STM. Taphony makes a final farewell to Darius and Georgie, who is accompanied by June. Time reverses, and the team celebrate Griffin's birthday early, while Taphony arrives safely in an alternate dimension, having been forgotten by our team. Yay!
Right.
Apparently I did in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I don't know if I did it well, though. You shall see.
Something around that. I started, and then you said and scroll down, so I restarted, and then I started a second late, but it said you had 2 minutes and 20 seconds left, which would mean that you did it in 2:40, but again, that's a second or two off.
Well, and it didn't, apparently the stopwatch didn't record anyway, so that's lame. Like, great, all that work for nothing, right?
Oh, it didn't show any time?
It didn't, it just showed 0. It was acting like it was just a still image, so I don't know why, because it was going on the website, but whatevs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody needs to make a specific streaming compatible stopwatch. So I have a question before we start the review, because I noticed that the TARDIS.wiki and I seemed to interpret things very differently. So I'm wondering how you thought about it. I thought that based on this, that this was a girl named Taphony that the department experimented on turned into a time blank and erased all memory of her own identity. But TARDIS.wiki says that the time blank was, originally a time creature that the department captured and gave a human body and identity to. How did you two understand this story?
I understood it as the creature. I didn't think that she was like it. It didn't come off like they thought that she was like an actual human that had been transformed. It was the whole creature that looks like human.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, to me, I specifically remember the professor saying that he helped make this girl become the way she is. So that sounded
That's how
like
I
she was
understood it, yeah.
yeah, she was experimented on because they were trying to create a time traveler.
Hmm.
Is the way that it's worded. Um so
Yeah.
that says to me that they took some random girl and messed with her to
Hmm.
do that, and she was unstable, so they had to just chuck her in uh like they're one of the like a VR prison, whatever.
Hmm.
That honestly makes more sense because why would he care about a creature that looks like a girl? I would think
Or
that
at the
he'd
very
have
least, why would he be insisting your name is Taphony if that's just the
yeah.
names the department had given her?
I mean, it might still be that like Taphony is a name she was given, and that's like all she knows. Because I think it is said that like it fundamentally changed who she was, so the girl she was prior probably doesn't exist anymore.
Right. And it could be that they merged a
Because they,
human and an extra dimensional being.
but generally they also say like when Thorn brings it up, he says Project Taphony, which could just mean that they named the project after her, or it could just be that's the name she was given as a test
Hmm.
subject.
All right. Oh, I forgot to. For what good the timer will do at this point. It's supposed to be the last hour. Sure. Let's set it as. Come on. Timer is finicky. Okay. All right. Okay. So Aaron is first. What did you like about this story?
Hang on, I'm banning a spammer. Blah blah blah.
Ah,
Okay. Oh, uh, what's going on? Why isn't our stuff showing up like it
let,
should?
last week we had some non-bot people in chat. Let's hope we get more non-bot people,
Yay! All
especially
right.
while we're all paying attention.
Sorry, my the Canva screwed up for me. Skipped ahead. So
Oh, let's skip to the very end. Okay.
yeah, it's like skipped to the very end. I'm like, why is it doing this now? Work, please, work.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say I actually okay, I'm gonna say that I actually like K-9 as the voice of reason in this episode, mostly because he doesn't really come off as annoying. He's he's very insistent, and he seems to have like pretty sound logic, being some a being that's from outside their time as well. So I think yeah, I think it's actually really cool how he's not really that annoying. He does kind of come off as kind of jealous when he's like asking about what she's doing with his friends. And but that's also because he's concerned
Except
about
he
them.
was kind of just it was justified there. He knew
Mhm.
that
He was
good things weren't
justified.
happening.
Because he saw her as a threat, and that she
Hmm.
legit was. And like everyone else around Taphony is like, Darius and Starkey are kind of leery of her, too, but like they're eventually convinced by Georgie that she's just, a kid who's kind of lost and needs friends. And K-9 is like, no, this isn't just a child. This is a being that can wreak untold harm on this world if we don't get rid of her. So, yeah, and he doesn't really pretend to be her friend, but he acts kind of like the adult in the room. Like, he's willing to talk to her and convince her to move on
Right.
without,
I,
outright
I
just trying
almost
to destroy
wonder
her.
if he's I almost wonder if he was somewhat protected from her powers. Like when she froze time, he
Mm.
was just like, "What's that to me?"
Mm-hmm.
So like, I
Yeah.
wonder if he was emboldened by his nature and how he had gotten there to do things the professor maybe couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex, what did you like?
I was gonna say like the performance of Taphony, like the girl playing Taphony in this. And I guess for just like a specific thing of the acting to go with, just to latch onto something and not just nebulously say the acting. This kind of thing could have so easily have fallen into, and I don't even necessarily hate it, but like there's usually the thing where you'll have like the god with the mind of a child kind of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
where they'll play it like really young, even though she's like a teenager.
Oh yeah.
But she's actually playing it as like someone not necessarily about the age she would have been, but she's not going around acting like an 8-year-old or something. um she's like very stubborn, but not, throwing tantrums necessarily. She's still very like, for the most part, very emotionally reserved, not super over the top or anything. I just like that's an interesting approach for this, like especially for this show, but like
She's not
yeah, like
Charlie X from Star Trek.
God, I'm trying to think of other examples.
Like when she's
Uh
mimicking tossing her hair back. Like she sees
I
Georgie
That
yeah.
do
was
it.
one of my favorite things about the
Mm-hmm.
acting. Yeah, where I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know if that's the acting, directing, or whatever, but like she's very
Mm,
much trying to mimic Georgie's mannerisms,
mm.
and it's almost better that it doesn't look natural. Like she's not just like
Yeah,
absorbing
yeah.
Georgie's mind; she's actively trying to act like her.
Mm.
Yeah, she's struggling with it a little bit, so.
Yeah.
So I guess from my part, I'm going to say that I like that the arc that she went on. I feel like Doctor Who, there's a very good chance. I mean, it's possible she would have gone on an arc, but it's equally likely that she would have just become like a mad god that the Doctor had to obliterate
Yeah.
inside a decaying
Mm-hmm.
star or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas here, she's actually like she's convinced by like K-9 of all people explaining to her what friendship is. And I say of all people because K-9 has had this consistent like trait throughout the story of he's just like, I don't understand your emotional reactions, humans. This is, and this is not a
Mm-hmm.
logical thing to do. Would it not be better to be, an emotionless machine? And here, like, he's the one explaining, like, if they're your friend, that means you would rather see them hurt, and like that is convincing to her. So I thought that was really interesting, and for a show that often does not want to does not have great feats of writing or be willing to take risks and such, I thought that was a really good touch.
Just to clarify, Bill, because you cut out there, you said
Oh
you'd rather be hurt than see them get hurt, right?
yes.
Mm.
Have I been cutting out a lot or
No, that was the
Not
only
like
major
not
cut.
like a
okay?
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's mainly just like for like a second or so and then back in.
Mhm.
So it was like missing like a couple words here and there. Not
Maybe I
like-
should close Twitch just to be safe.
maybe, yeah.
All right, next is what we disliked about the episode, starting with Aaron.
All right, let me. I'm just making sure I'm on the right panel with freaking, Canva. All right. Well, I did not like Griffin's aged appearance. I felt it was pretty unconvincing. He wasn't like super old, but like they went very light on the on aging him up in the makeup department. It was kind of not very high on their budget, I believe. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like the funny thing is I feel like I've heard of some instances where they did like ultimately very like low tech, very like uh something that they probably could have done even on the budget they had. Like I think the one I'm probably thinking of is uh the Theoden old age makeup in Two Towers where he's possessed by Saruman. Apparently the actor for Theoden did not want to have to go through like hours upon hours of prosthetic. So apparently that was just kind of built up onto or something like that. Like very God, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it like something that they probably could have managed on the low budget they had anyway, from what it sounds like.
Although the screenshot that Bill has kind of makes him almost look like one of the doctors. He's got kind of the velvet coat and the little kerchief around his neck and the plaid shirt and holding the pocket watch and stuff with the white hair. I could see him becoming one.
All I could see was Doc Brown.
Oh.
Here's Theoden.
Oh, there you go.
That was like the oldest makeup Theoden I could find. Most of them, he looks much closer to middle-aged. Older middle age, I guess. All right, Alex, what did you dislike?
Keeping things related to the professor, for me it was specifically the old age performance he gave. Because speaking of Doc Brown, that's what he fucking sounded like.
Yeah.
He was actively like, it wasn't, I don't think he was leaning into it as much as he went on, like he toned it down, but
Maybe
like
that's why I was thinking Doc Brown. Yeah, the voice.
yeah,
was
like
very much-
especially in that first scene, it sounded like he was basically trying to do a Doc Brown impression to sound older, and it's just like, no, this is not a. You're not Christopher Lloyd. You might want to not. Like it sounded so like, oh, this is just an impression. You're not trying to make you sound older. You're just imitating someone else.
just the concept of an old man.
Yeah. I mean, like, at least he didn't do that, like, stereotypical crotchety old voice that you usually get. But even then, it's
Ebenezer
just like,
Scrooge.
Listen, the old whippersnapper.
yeah. But it's, yeah.
Oh, if Matt were here, he could have done Herbert the pervert.
Yeah, he would have.
But yeah, like it's such a, like that combined with like, the funny thing is, I almost didn't even mind the old age makeup that much. Like, it could have been better, but like I think it's one of those things where I'm like, well, an effort was made, I guess, on the low budget they had, but it was like I feel like I probably would have excused that more if the old man performance was better. But like, yeah, like physically he's doing okay, but like the verbal acting is like not up to snuff for the physical acting he's able to do to make himself seem
Okay.
older.
So first off, I'm gonna say I don't like that this episode was called Taphony and the Time Loop. There was no time loop. I want my money back, but I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
pay
Mm.
any money, so I can't get anything back.
Yeah.
To be
Well,
astray.
yes, we want to be technical, everything resets at the end, so. But yeah, not really much of a time loop so
Yeah,
much as there's just everything. They hit the reset button.
like one return does a loop make.
Yeah, right.
At least not a good one. But no, more
Mm.
seriously, I know this is not a new complaint, but it's a new target. Fucking Darius, specifically the writing, because like I kind of feel like the actor himself even was creeped out by this.
Mm.
Like Taphony, the actress is technically older than Philippa Coulthard. She's like 2 or 3 months older than the actress who plays Georgie. So but Taphony looks like she's a 17-year-old, but she looks like fucking 12 or 14 to me. Maybe that's just me. Like I know that I have undergrads that look that young, so maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just getting too old. But like, she looks like I'm looking at her next to Georgie on my screen right now.
Mm.
And she looks like 2 years younger than Georgie. So Darius coming in and immediately like he stops short of like cartoon dog whistling, but you can tell from his dialogue that he's thinking it. She's like, I'm Taphany.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, you are. Like, his delivery is so half-assed. He's like, I feel like he was like, do I have to say this? Like, it's
Yeah.
written in that I'm saying this, but am I really gonna say this? Like, as a
Yeah.
reminder, the girls are 17 years old. The actor who plays Darius is 22 when this is being filmed. So,
Mm.
like, it there's no way for it not to look creepy, even ignoring how
Yeah.
young. I don't have her name in front of me. I forget. I think her name's Maya Mitchell, if I'm remembering it correctly. Like, even ignoring how
Yeah.
young she looks, even if you go by their actual real life ages, it's still gonna look creepy. And I
Yeah.
think it was so bad that Daniel Weber was just like, I'm not even gonna emphasize, because I feel like he put some effort into it with Georgie. This he was just like as like
Mm.
low energy saying the flirting line possible.
Yeah. I guess it's especially like it probably was especially uncomfortable because it's like it's a one-off
Mm-hmm.
role that she's not at least coming back. Like for all we know, the girl playing Georgie's mum was like there and like or at least a parent was maybe there to like make sure they didn't do anything that would be, you know,
Right.
uh I guess not even necessarily illegal so much as just, you know, iffy.
There's enough
But
supervision to make sure he wasn't going to get like taken to
yeah,
court over that
right.
his character's actions.
Yeah. And it's like the fact that and at that point it really is a matter of this far in because this is like what episode 20, like if you were going to do that with this character just actually hire a 17-year-old boy, you
Yeah.
know. So because we wouldn't it'd be annoying that he's like the one constantly hitting on Georgie and all that, but like it would be at least not creepy by virtue of knowing the out of universe ages of these people. Ugh. Mind you, that's likely why they never like do more than ever like hug. But yeah, if they've even done that, I forget if they have.
I don't as friends maybe.
Well, yeah. There's been no, as much as he's into her character-wise, there hasn't been any actual
There's been nothing like that from her.
romantic
Yeah.
moments. Yeah.
Right. And shit, like I think there was a similar age gap between oh goddamn, what's her name? Mila Kunis and Danny Masterson in That 70s Show. But I don't think they got together until several seasons in.
Yeah.
Um
Because like her character at the start was dating Ashton Kutcher's
yeah. And Ashton
character, and they
Kutcher's
would have been the same.
older than her, but not as much. And to be fair, she
Yeah.
lied about her age when she was hired. Whereas actually, wait, I actually forget how old she actually was. Because I knew she lied about her age, but I forget how old she actually was. Okay, she was 5 years younger than Ashton Kutcher, but yeah, she has admitted she lied about her age. And Ashton Kutcher did play things as the type of person you could accept being young.
Mm.
Anyway, that's a tangent. Another reason to look weirdly at That 70s Show, but then again, they're also playing the 70s. Anyway, I said that was a tangent. Let's move on. Favorite scenes, Aaron.
Yeah, let me bring up my notes here. All right, favorite. Oh, I actually had a few favorite scenes. I like going on with the K-9 thing. I like the scene where he's lecturing Taphony about you do not hurt your friends, you'd rather hurt yourself.
Okay, so the scene that I was like, oh yeah, it's the only favorite scene that I have. Let me make sure there's a picture of it when we open up the slide.
I can go with my I can go with my other favorite scene if you want.
I mean,
all right, I'll go with my other favorite
why
scene.
not talk about both? Because
All right, I'll go with my other favorite scene is when we first see Taphony in the White Void in the virtual reality prison. We see Griffin talking to her. I feel like it's such a it's a very
it was
much
a really
of
good looking scene.
Yeah, it's a very good looking scene. It's a real grabber of a visual. We don't really see stuff like that even in and yeah, like the Matrix numeral, the Matrix numbers are kind of a little bit goofy and dated now, but like I don't know, I think everything else about her being in a fog with like multiples of Griffins standing around her and like in this void. Yeah, I thought that it was actually kind of cool for a show like this to do that.
Okay.
Probably the closest to like something I could see Doctor Who doing from this show. Of like I could see like the Doctor in the Professor's spot saying that saying that they're gonna get someone out of a VR prison and then being like multiplied for some reason because of the VR stuff.
It probably wouldn't have the numbers scrolling, or I think it was just binary scrolling by, but
yeah.
I could see this entire episode being something like you'd see in Doctor Who, specifically maybe a Sylvester McCoy serial or something.
Yeah, this definitely, I would say, is probably one of the most Doctor Who episodes of this show. I mean, it's centered around a time entity.
Yeah.
Like the K-9 in a lot of ways was filling the Doctor's role.
Yeah, and I can see McCoy lecturing her about how to behave properly.
Since you brought it up, I'm just going to go ahead. Yeah, the scene between, I mean, it's kind of related to what I literally said, K-9 and talking to Taphony. It wasn't quite like, it's not the speech the Doctor would have given, but it was very much like a Doctor speech moment of like, the meaning of friendship. And it's like, it could have been corny if it had gone on too long, but like, I think it was just like perfect for K-9. Yeah, maybe she accepted it a little quickly. I can say that, but yeah, I thought it was a really touching scene. And I think it really kind of defines her character as someone who is really like, yeah, I'm really serious about this friendship and I'm going to accept what K-9 is saying as something that should inform the way I behave from. All right, Alex, what's your favorite scene?
You know, it's funny. Originally, I only had the one, and then I was like, oh, actually, no, maybe. Um, I guess one was more of a moment, so I'm like, I'll bring it up in passing. But I'm going last, so I can technically do whatever I want. But the I brought it up in the spoilers thing, but the moment where K9 is scanning the professor to find out what's wrong, and one of the things that comes up is should help across the road. To like lean into the fact that he's an old man is very funny. Um and also as far as like an actual scene, like just the professor specifically not regretting his choice to do it. Because at first, like, I'm like, dude, come on. What? And then there's like, after they freed her and she's shown up and all that, and K-9's still badgering him to be like, hey, remember how you said you were going to send her away, like, immediately? And the professor's like, hey, well, you know, and like kind like humming and hawing, and then basically just admits that it's like basically the reason he's in no hurry is just because uh the guilt he feels for being partially responsible for her being like this.
Okay,
um
yeah, that's.
like
Mm-hmm.
being what's getting his way, because we've you know, this is episode 20. He's a very emotion driven character.
Right,
So it's one of those moments where, like, okay, now I can justify him having justified that to himself.
right,
Whereas in some other episodes, he would be telling the kids, hey, no, this has to, like, happen now. What are you doing?
right,
In this case, it's K-9 doing that to him, and it's like his guilt is kind of uh you know, shouting down the logic part of his brain.
right. And since we were comparing to the Doctor before, like I could really see that being like a 10th Doctor moment.
Mm,
Like, oh, their planet was destroyed during the Time War, so if it destroys me, that's fine as long as nobody else gets. Although, the fact
mm,
that he did not seem to have strong feeling, like I don't think he had any strong reaction to. I mean, other than eventually being like, Taphony's a threat. He didn't seem to have
yeah.
any strong reaction to Georgie being vampired. So that's kind of weird, and maybe that's.
Mm.
I don't know if that was had a specific moment to be someone's least favorite scene or not,
Yeah,
but
that's the
that is
10th
the one
Doctor
counter to
showing
that.
through. It's okay, we'll use Georgie for bait for now.
Wow.
It's all part of the game.
um, Side note about the other scene you mentioned. Uh, like I feel like this is a very English and maybe Australian thing to do. Pensioner is not a category of people that would mean anything to somebody from the United States. K-9 having to like
Yeah.
identify pensioner, like like
Yeah.
you just assume that everybody is earning a pension. Like pensions still
Well,
exist, I guess, in
old
some
age
parts of the
pension,
country.
yeah. Yeah, old age
Or
pension.
I guess I think the equivalent of like Social Security, right? Like the socialized retirement fund is called a
Mm.
pension, I think, in some places, right?
Yeah, like effectively, yeah, it's a pensioner in terms of, well, it's funny because, like, you know, in this case, it just means old age pensioner, but pensioner can also mean, like, you know, there's a disability pension and stuff like that. That's
Okay,
just
so
the
yeah, so
term
it's like
used.
yeah, so it's like Social Security, except nobody you
Mm,
wouldn't like identify somebody as, oh, they're a Social Security recipient unless
mm.
you're like a Republican trying to deny them. Least favorite scenes, starting with Aaron.
Okay, so I kind of I think the ending for Taphony kind of irked me a little bit. They basically throw Taphony into a rainbow and then forget about her. It's just like, well, kind of what happens. So let me move us on to the worst scenes.
Although I
Um,
think I think the impression is because she was like, "You won't remember me." I think
mhm,
she
Mm.
erased their memories.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it felt like she should have been like, I don't know, out in a park somewhere and then suddenly meets other people or something. They come running up to her and like,
Mm.
hey, you're with us now, so. And she's like, oh, friends. Like, I have friends here, unlike what K-9 said I would have. Because remember, he's like going through like what else she'll encounter in this other dimension, and he's like, yeah, there probably isn't going to be a frisbee there. But
Mm.
it would have been kind of nice if she went to like an alternate version of Earth that could sustain her without her killing everyone. But
It's like a
I don't
six
know.
dimensional Earth that was within the budget of the K-9 series.
Yeah, just it's a park out in the middle of nowhere. It's
Mm.
fine.
So like effectively like River's fate in is it
Basically,
Silence of the Library?
yeah. The Unquiet Dead, I think, is the other
Yeah.
part of that too. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
River's Fate. It would have been nice to see her do something like River's Fate instead of just float out into this weird rainbow stuff and maybe have a life or maybe not, or I don't know. It feels like she exists but she doesn't. So I guess that's in with her
Mm.
nature, but I don't know. I was kind of unsatisfied by it. It felt kind of slapdash at the very,
Mm.
very end. Even though the special effects, it seemed they put some effort into them.
Mm.
Kind of the fate effect, at least.
Oh, so
Yeah.
the special effects were like stock After Effects
Yeah,
free
kind of. So
version
maybe they didn't
effects.
put much effort into them.
We're gonna
Maybe
it's
that's
like
Mm.
also.
we're gonna slap a default filter over it.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, but that's
I
for
mean,
me.
yeah, like following on from that cuz mine's kind of related but in a from a different perspective. This is, as far as I can recall, 2 episodes in a row where the ending has felt really jarring. Um, because last one was Custodian. So yeah, there's 2 where the ending, just the edit of it feels so jarring, where it's just like I feel like if this was an episode of even just the Sarah Jane Adventures, the bit at the end where K-9 has that little moment where they basically reveal he's the only one that remembers what happened. Um, and he has like a little silent, like he has a little moment of like, farewell, young lady, or whatever he says. The cut from that to like her and the, cheap effects vortex thing,
Yeah.
like, is so abrupt. The like normally you would think to hang on that moment of K-9, even though he's a friggin' like, featureless robot dog, that you would have him say that little goodbye and then hold on that for a couple of seconds. Like not like a
I did
super
think
long
that
time.
transition was meant to indicate that she was listening to him.
Maybe. But it felt more like, to me it felt more like, oh shit, we've got to we've got to get it to exactly this length, so we need to trim those
Yeah.
few seconds, is what it felt like to me, because it just feels such like an abrupt snap to her in that vortex. Like almost would have had the vortex thing first, then cut back to K-9 and end on that
Mm-hmm.
like somber moment. Or again, like as Aaron was saying, like if the like depiction of where she ends up was better, then it probably wouldn't be as bad. But again, it also just feels like in a way, you could have just not had that bit at the end with her like in that cheap effects thing. You
Mm-hmm.
could have literally just had it sit on K-9 like kind of angsting in a way
Mm-hmm.
over that and just end on that. And that would have been a far more solid ending.
Okay, so we've got 2 votes for the ending. What is my least favorite scene? I guess if anything, it would be like the scene where they're sped up playing frisbee, because I'm sitting there like I can't tell. I'm like, is something sinister? Like, am I supposed to take away that something sinister is happening? Is it supposed to be fun? Like, it's kind of caught in the weird thing where I'm just like, okay, it's fast forward and they're playing frisbee, and they're not reacting as if anything is unusual, and I don't know what the show wants me to take away from this moment or what to feel. And I'm just like, okay, so it's I don't know if it was like just a sentence on the script and they were like they continue playing frisbee, but everything's sped up now, and then they just
Hmm.
lingered on it. I really don't know. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah. Like that in its own right probably could have been shortened to give more time for other things to breathe.
Yeah. And yeah, I could not find any photos of that scene because I tried to put it in the title card. There's nothing. I guess I could have made a screenshot, but with the way 2B's player is set up, it would have been hard to
Mm.
get like the whole screen.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. So, final thoughts. Aaron.
Um, I actually really liked this episode. I liked the idea of Taphony both being a friend and a threat. I think there is a bit of menace to her. She can be really kind of creepy, especially when she's trying to get her revenge on Griffin. And at the same time, I do feel that kind of tension between her and like Georgie and the others trying to convince her that they're not threats and all that. So I do wish that the ending had been a little bit tighter. Um, and that the whole Griffin aging thing had been done a little bit better with the acting and the special effects and all that. So yeah, but otherwise I do think this is one of the higher rated episodes I would have for the series so far anyway.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, so to me this is definitely one of the stronger ones. Like there's still issues, but again, like this one almost feels like it's a bit more either the budget in some elements holding it back, or again, like with the frisbee thing, like lingering on something a bit too long. Um, especially when by virtue of their budget, it literally is just speeding up the footage. Um, more than anything. Um, and just like little like editing things here and there that I'm noticing that's like most of it, whereas the story in itself is like otherwise one of the you know strong for this show. I mean, again, this is kind of the most Doctor Who this show is either felt in general, or like honestly, even like for all the issues with like to a point, like with some of the issues that I had with the custodians, that also you could argue is very like, yeah, I could kind of see this not as it is, but like the general idea of it also being a Doctor Who story. Um that's two in a row that's happened. In a way, I don't think this is necessarily I feel like this is either on par with or slightly worse maybe than the Custodians, um but yeah, like again, solid acting from the girl playing Taphony specifically. I'm just glad they didn't go with, because I don't hate it, but it's kind of overdone at this point. So I'm glad they didn't go with like the sort of God with the mind of a child thing,
Mhm.
where like she's basically just, a blank slate trying to be a person effectively rather than just like a bratty little child or something. Which, especially given her age at the time this was filmed, would have been really odd of a choice to go with. I mean, it would have been an excuse to not have Darius friggin' hit on her, but um, but yeah. Uh, Either way, this would definitely be, so far, this is one of the handful of episodes that I would actually recommend people watch if they watched anything from this.
Yeah, so I like that this was an episode. Like, I always like episodes of Doctor Who spin-offs that are actually meaningfully dealing with the fact that they live in a multiverse with with all of these time traveling powers and abilities. So having a creature like Taphony as a main character, and doing interesting things with her, like virtual reality, uh, is always going to get my attention. I do really like that she was really trying to like grapple with these human concepts. She was initially really confused as to why they would care about Griffin, and then that arc really pays all the way. Yeah, I consider Georgie a
Are you
friend. So,
cutting out a bit more?
oh, great. Uh, any better? Which might see this Discord showing me is all green, so I can tell from here.
Mm.
Yeah. So far, after that, it sounded okay, but yeah, before when you were giving when you're talking about it, you cut out a couple of places.
Oh, great! And of course, I
Mm.
can't really close any tabs at the moment. Well, at least not ones that are active. I guess I'll just see. Do my best. Or yeah, I'll just wrap it up quickly then. I like Taphony's arc. I thought it was really interestingly done. Let's move on to ratings. Uh, Aaron, what do you rank Taphony and the Time Loop?
Um, I actually ranked it pretty high this time as well, along with the Custodians. I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
4.5. Okay, Alex.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the same as Custodians for mine as well, so I'll give it a 4.
4.0. Oof. So now I need to decide what ranking I want to give. And uh
I mean,
what
as
is
I've
our
said before,
scale?
I'm
What
kind
is a
of, yeah,
4.5 in
like,
this show?
right, because like, yeah, like I brought it up one or two of the weeks we've been doing these, where I'm like, at this point, I'm just comparing it to itself and not other Doctor Who stuff, because it feels
Right.
kind of unfair at this point.
And I guess if our benchmark is just other K-9 episodes, I guess we can give it a 4.5. I wouldn't compare this to like a 4.5 of Sarah Jane Adventures, but it seems we're not really doing that. So I'll go ahead and give it the. Uh, I'm really not sure if we've been consistent. At least if I've been consistent in how I've been rating K-9, but that's what I'll give it for now. That gives us an average of 4.33. which makes it the second highest rated episode of K-9 after The Lost Library of Uko. And if I were to place that among our other rankings, which I'm not sure when I last updated it, or I would add the exact numbers to it, but it's 4.33 is from numbers 119 to 128 of at least 496 things reviewed. It is on par with 4 K-9 standards: Sarah Jane, The Last Centauran, Sarah Jane Adventures, Lost in Time. It is not as good as Sarah Jane Adventures, The Man Who Never Was, Torchwood, Out of Time, or Torchwood Adrift. And it is better than, for Sarah Jane standards, Torchwood, Fragments, Exit Wounds, Sarah Jane Adventures, Enemy of the Bane, Sarah Jane Adventures, The Day of the Clown, Prisoner of the Jadoon, and The Vault of Secrets. So, not sure if it's actually better than I don't think it's better than those Sarah Jane Adventures things. Let us know in the comments what you think. And on that note, if you've been listening this far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to get our YouTube exports, or follow us on Twitch to get notified when we stream. Next time, we wrap up our 21st season, and we'll have to decide when we come back, because we have agreed to probably take longer breaks now that we've pretty much caught up with Doctor Who content other than Big Finish. But in our season finale, we will have our Rank Companions tier list, focusing on the modern side of the equation. So we will see you then.